Hello there and welcome. My name is Mr. Williams and I'm here to give you a quick introductory lesson over the flipped classroom. I'm going to be your science teacher this year here at Nemaha Valley High School, or your students' science teacher. And I just wanted to make this quick video to introduce you to some major changes that will be taking place to general science and biology for the 2012-2013 school year. The major changes revolve around the flipped classroom model of instruction. So, what I'm going to be taking you through in this video today is just kind of a general synopsis of what the flipped classroom is, what to expect inside of the flipped classroom, and now what to expect outside of the flipped classroom as we make these gigantic changes. There are also some benefits and some student, teacher, parent expectations mentioned throughout the video, so pay close attention to those. Without further ado, let's go ahead, jump right in, and get started with what a flipped classroom is. The flipped classroom revolves around the idea of taking direct instruction out of the classroom and creating more time for practice and homework to take place inside of it. For example, lectures, PowerPoint presentations, and smart note sheets will now be recorded as video and placed online to watch anytime outside of the class. Since we are taking a large chunk of time and moving it out of the class period, we open up more class time for practice activities, assessments, and more face-to-face communication where meaningful and deeper conversation about the material being covered can occur. Not only between the teacher and the student, but also between student and student. The flipped classroom not only flips placement of the tangible, i.e. lecture and homework, but also of the idea of who is truly responsible for learning. Typically, students arrive and sit down in their chairs with the thought that it's the teacher's job and duty to teach them the material. My job is to teach students how to learn, apply, and produce, not regurgitate information. With all the material made available for the students to access anytime, learning and mastering the major concepts set forth by me, the teacher, falls upon those students' shoulders. No longer is the pace at which a student progresses through a class regulated by the teacher's pacing, their peers' ability to learn, or other scheduled events. Students will be responsible for learning and mastering the content covered in my class. Students using the flip model enter the classroom engaged, excited, and empowered to take ownership of their learning of science that day, similar to the girl pictured on this slide. Not aggravated, frustrated, and dejected with the material that they could not understand or could not get at home, like the gentleman here at the bottom. So, we now know a little bit about what the flipped classroom is, both tangibly speaking and ideally speaking. Knowing that homework and direct instruction have changed places, let's talk about what each will look like going forward. First, let's discuss what to expect outside of the classroom with the direct instruction. Outside of the classroom, or in other words, student homework, will now be to watch videos dedicated to the content being covered in the class at that time. What was typically 30 to 45 minutes of lecture and direct instruction has now been transferred into 5 to 15 minutes of concise, compacted video information. A student should still plan on spending 10 to 30 minutes watching and taking notes over the video at home, as he or she will constantly be pausing, rewinding, and jotting down notes. Students should find a quiet place with limited distractions and really engage themselves with the video. In addition to just watching, I'll ask students to submit guided note sheets, written summaries, question sequences, blog posts, and/or partake in discussions using Twitter. The goal will be for the student to document their learning so they and I both know where they are prior to class and as they progress through the unit material. Will homework always be a video to watch? No, not necessarily. Sometimes I will assign traditional homework to be completed prior to the next activity or assignment inside the classroom. That might be a review sheet prior to a test, the finishing of a lab report, answering questions for a pre-lab exercise, etc., etc. It will usually depend on where a student is at in their progression of mastering the unit material. Inside the class, we're in for some big changes as well. With a large block of time now opened up for moving to direct instruction, students have more time to practice concepts, apply concepts, assess concepts, complete labs, complete activities, and produce work that demonstrates mastery of the content. More time for just doing stuff is a major coup of the flipped classroom. The first 5 to 10 minutes of class each day will also be spent in whole class discussion, seeing where each student is at in the unit, what notes they have recorded from the most recent video assignment, and discussing what each student will be tackling that day in class. This section of time will also be where I can clarify any misconceptions of concepts for individuals and/or the entire class. With the increase in available class time, I'll also be able to constantly assist throughout the entire class period in clarifying concepts and help in adjusting student misunderstandings during labs, activities, and assessments. Students will be also able to help each other in clarification of concepts as they work individually, in pairs, or small groups throughout the year. So a lot of additional time set aside for clarification both at the beginning and throughout the class. Finally, in addition to more time to do things and more time for discussion and intervention to clarify concepts, the inside of the flipped classroom will have frequent assessment. Formative assessment of students will take place daily and can be compared to a GPS system. More on that in a second. Students will be checked daily for their current understanding of the unit material using quizzes, spot check questions, exit cards, tweets, blog posts, and face-to-face discussion with Mr. Williams. These forms of formative assessment will be recorded in the gradebook but will not affect the student's grade. The grade will reflect what a student knows at the end, not how well they performed as they were learning, hence the GPS analogy. If we are not going in the right direction, we adjust and continue down the road towards a desired location. In this example, mastery of the unit content. Summative assessments will take place in the class, and they will include unit exams in all labs and activities. Summative, as in referring to the sum of what a student learned and mastered throughout the unit. Unit exams will check for mastery of required content, and labs and activities will check to see if a student can apply and use the concepts covered. All right, that's a look at what to expect inside and outside of the classroom using the flipped classroom method. One last thing I would like to touch on is how we'll be utilizing some new technology in room 110 this school year. We're extremely lucky in that we will be receiving 20 iPads to use at our disposal each day in class. With these iPads, we will not only be able to take advantage of hundreds of different applications to assist in learning science material, but also in practicing, applying, recording, documenting, and communicating our learning with other students, parents, and myself. We'll be attempting to go completely paperless and completely digital with these iPads. Keyword there, attempting. Submission of notes, quizzes, practice problems, projects, and many other forms of assessment will be done online. I'll be using my current Nemaha Valley Science website to facilitate and manage some of this material, but the majority of what students will access and submit will be through iTunes U, a program that works with both Mac and PC computers. The iPad technology should assist in not only learning and mastering the material set forth by me, the teacher, but also managing the individual process of learning and mastering the material throughout the unit. I'm looking for the iPad, iTunes U, and Google Docs to really assist students in their time management skills as they learn using the flipped classroom model. So that does it. What an exciting school year we have on tap here at Nemaha Valley High School for the general science and biology students. I'm excited because I believe we are going to give our students the best chance at learning and mastering our major concepts. And it can all happen for each student at his or her individual pace. If you have to move a little slower through one unit in order to understand a certain concept, that's fine. You can with this flipped classroom model. If you want to move faster through one because life is going to get very busy in a couple weeks and you don't need to be swamped with a lot of extra science work or schoolwork in general, that's fine. You can do that too. As long as each student demonstrates to me, the teacher, that they have minimal mastery of the major concepts, they have then shown that they have learned and they can move on to the next task or the next unit. Another thing I'm excited about the flipped classroom is how it produces students who are responsible for their own learning and eventually take ownership for their education. The material, objectives, and assessments are all put out there for the taking. Go and get it. I'm here to help you on your quest in understanding and grasping that material. What a way to teach and to get you, the student, ready for the next chapter of your life outside these hallways. We're going to make you self-taught, self-motivated learners. Now, I've done a lot of preparing for this transition, but even I know that there's going to be some unexpected events, situations, and outcomes as we begin using the flipped classroom model. All I ask is that if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback of any kind, please contact me and we'll see what we can do. This is a living and breathing curriculum in class this year. There is an outline, there is a syllabus, there is a path we're going to follow, but we will be going with the flow and working ourselves through what I foresee as many unforeseen kinks and bumps in the road. Thanks for your time today, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My email is kwilliams@usd115.org. I'll also put in one more shameless plug for the Nemaha Valley Science website, which can be accessed through usd115.org or by simply typing in Nemaha Valley Science into a Google search engine, typically one of the first two links to pop up. A lot of good information. I will keep posted on that site about the flipped classroom and also about our current progress of transitioning from the traditional to the flipped classroom model. Again, thank you very much for your time today, and here's to a great 2012-2013 school year using the flipped model in room 110. Thanks again, and have a good one.